we have a great speaker that will explain to us about the development of local-based emergency food. Has joined with us Professor Irwandi Jaswir, Master of Science PhD from International Islamic University Malaysia. Please join with us, Professor. I will read a glimpse of his curriculum vitae. Professor Irwandi Jaswir is a scientist and biotechnologist. He is a research coordinator at the International Institute for Halal Research and Training Center of International Islamic University Malaysia. Prof. Irwandi is known as a halal scientist and received the King Faisal International Prize in 2018. So, Professor Irwandi, are you ready to sharing your knowledge about the development of local-based emergency food? Okay, if you're ready, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning to all. Thank you, Ibu Muti, for kind introduction. And to all the participants, thank you for being here today again. This is my second lecture during this summer course. But today I would like to share with you a little bit slightly different from what we have discussed yesterday, entitled Development of Local-Based Emergency Food. Again, my name is Irwandi Jaswir. I'm attached to International Islamic University, Malaysia. First is food. We start with the food. The definition of food is anything that nourish our body. Of course, in this context, especially during the emergency, the food that we consume is not only anything, quote unquote anything, but it must meet certain criteria, meet certain standard that the consumer, that the people can consume. It must have a various type of nutrient, macronutrient, minor nutrients, etc. Among the major nutrients, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. And of course, the food source, plants and animal. So again, I would like to add a little bit for Muslim consumers, because Indonesia is under the region may have a certain natural disasters. We have in Indonesia, we have earthquake, we have volcanoes, we have tsunami, etc. So the halal food is a must in Indonesia, for Indonesian population. So when we talk about the food source, if it is from plant, is fine, is very, very safe. But if it is from animal, there are two criteria that we have to determine in the beginning. Number one is whether the animal is a kind of halal animal. Second, if it is from halal animal, whether it is slaughtered according to Islamic rules and regulations. Among the main function of food is to provide energy, maintain life, and stimulate growth. Of course, during the emergency situation, energy that needed might be double or triple or more, at least more than in the normal situation. Food technology, since the science dealing with the study of food and its product, apart from that, it contributes in maintaining quality, processing, preservation, and many more. And food technology contribute to the development of a high quality food during the emergency. It cannot be just simply a food. During the situation, the emergency situation, natural disasters, for example, is not just simply a food. It must be a food developed properly and of the quality, etc., and etc. And this is the definition of emergency. Any actual threat to individual, public health, and security that and thereby requiring an immediate action is emergency. It includes natural calamities, flood, landslide, drought. Drought also Indonesia happen, once, especially certain area Indonesia. Earthquake quite a lot, Indonesia. It's like in Japan, our participant from Japan. In Japan also earthquake a lot. Still remember when I first come to Japan, they train us, how to handle if you are in the earthquake situation. This is a good thing in Japan. Blockade, war, etc. So this is the situation where emergency is considered, to be. This causes environment imbalance, which decrease the food production, which eventually cause food emergency. Even in the country that we consider safe. I still remember in Malaysia, for example, it's considered safe, not much natural disasters. But sometimes, if the flood, the rainfall is too high, and then it become flooding in certain areas. So this is also happen, So nobody can guarantee that a country, a place is safe all the time. That's why this concept of production of food during the emergency is very, very important and relevant. Any sudden accident or natural catastrophe that cause great damage or loss is called disasters. And food crisis. Now we move to food crisis. Yesterday I shared a little bit on the food sustainability. Food sustainability, there are 4 factors that we have to consider. Number 1 is whether the food is available, whether the food is accessible, whether the food is affordable, and whether the food is of quality or not. Now, the world facing food crisis overall. Food sustainability is at a big problem now. In many places, people cannot consume the quality food. We do not mention which country and which country. No, certain country and many people in the world also facing a crisis of the food, whereby they are not supplied with the food and the quality food, especially the protein. Protein is very, very important, and it become more and more expensive. That's why now, through biotechnology, for example, people try to develop many type of food and new sources of protein. In Singapore, for example, there is now they call cultured meat. Cultured meat. This in order to provide protein sources for the people, because the natural sources of protein is becoming more expensive. During emergency, it is obvious that there is a loss of food. The extreme loss of food result in food crisis and thereby worsening the scenario. And the major factor responsible for the crisis, include inflation. This is and also political situation, crop failure, population imbalance. Certain countries the population is increased drastically. But another country, the population growth is very, very slow. It's not balanced at all. Or government policies. And food crisis has a very, very bad impact. It is accompanied by malnutrition, and then starvation, epidemic, and increased mortality. And for some extent, it will affect the quality of generation. If the country is lacking of protein, the young generation cannot get enough or sufficient protein supply, and then the quality of the next generation will be affected. Yeah, because protein is very important for the growth, for the mind development, for example, brain development, yeah, for the young generation. So there is a study showed this, yeah, that certain country, how much that country is affected, yeah, by the situation where the protein is lacking. The main concern is protein. Of course, the carbohydrate is also very important, yeah, but the protein is more severe, the situation, because the cost is very, very expensive. Recently, I just come back from, anyone from Central Asia here? From any country? I recently went to Kyrgyzstan, yeah, a country in Central Asia, yeah, where this is not the bad situation. This is very, very good situation where the people there consume a lot of protein, because the source of protein is quite cheap there. Yeah, a lot of animals, yeah, cows, cattle, sheep, yeah, and the protein consumption in that country is double or triple than the normal average of the world. Yeah, so if you look at this, and then you can expect the good things from that country, because the protein, yeah, again, protein consumption is very, very, very important. Okay. To overcome the problem of food crisis, government plays important role. Of course, yeah. Of course, we really, really need the government intervention. Food are imported from different countries in the form of aid, example of earthquake. Yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, during the tsunami, for example, many other foreign countries give donation to Aceh. Yeah, give donation to Aceh, yeah, through food bank, and then donation, and then they come, yeah, from all over the world, yeah, regardless the country, regardless the religion, regardless the political inclination, etc. Yeah, and then a study according to FAO said that about 1.12 million acres of cultivable land were destroyed in 2013, and the year about 4,100 tons of cereal were imported. This is just one of the examples. This, even the data is not new. So what the impact on food? The impact on various food depends on the following things. Yeah, type of disasters. If the disasters affect the cultivated area, and then the impact is very, very severe, because it will affect the harvest, etc., etc. Yeah, if it is, for example, only in isolated places, not really affect the agricultural area, still fine. Yeah, it's still fine. Yeah. And the second is place of occurrence of the disasters. It will affect nutrient imbalance, pathogenic microorganisms, so the health concern, yeah, environmental, industrial, chemical, pesticide and other chemicals, and mishandling of food. Yeah, the donation is there, the aid is there, but the way the people handle could affect, yeah, the result as well. Yeah, so the mishandling, yeah, for example, it takes a longer time, for example, or not properly managed, or how to place, yeah, how to keep the food, for example, it may affect the quality of the food that received by the people. Yeah, it's been found that about 76 million cases of foodborne illness are thought to be the result of mishandling of food by workers. Imagine, yeah. During the emergency, the affected people might not think what the quality of the food, what is the safety concern about that. They just eat because they are very, very hungry. Yeah. So if we do not properly handle, we do not properly handle the food, and the quality of the food might be affected. So that this only the bad quality we give to the people might suffer from that situation. So there are 76 million foodborne illness during the emergency cases, and as part of the result of mishandling of food during by the workers during the emergency scenario. So what the role of food technologies? I think some of you have a background of food technology or nutrition perhaps. So this is your role. Number one is to ensure that the food, the quality, prosperity, the food and nutritional need. So you need to know this. You need to have this knowledge. Okay. And then the food concept. What kind of food is needed by the people in that area? And then how to store the food. How to store the food so that it's still safe to be distributed among the affected people. And then the data collection and analysis, also very important, and awareness. Awareness, even though the situation is perhaps very, very emergency, but you still need to give the best to them. And the local food utilization, this is what we are going to discuss a bit detail today. Local food utilization. There are few reasons for that. Number one is we have to produce food that are acceptable by the people in the region. Even, for example, Indonesia comprised of a lot of islands in Indonesia, a lot of districts, races, and then also different communities, different culture. And the food that they're eating also different. In Indonesia, even also in Indonesia, not everyone can take any food in Indonesia. If you are from Aceh, your typical food is different from those coming from Semarang, for example. If for the people coming from Papua, Papua, they might not be familiar with the food from Jakarta. So you need to know the culture. So this is from one country. So Indonesia, there is a Papua, there is a Lombok, for example, Bali, the food from Bali. General thing they might be able to consume, to eat. But there is a specific food that they cannot. Simply because the culture are different. Simply that's why we need to develop the food based on the local, we call local wisdom. Local food. Local food. So the food from Manado, the food from Pontianak, Indonesia, from Bali, from Jogja, with gudeg. You need to try gudeg. Gudeg is very, very famous food. It is originally from Yogyakarta. From Padang, there is rendang here. For those international participants, please try rendang before you go back to your country. And also from other places, Jakarta, Bandung, we have various type of food. Okay. So this is interrelationship between food technology or nutrition. We include nutrition here, and emergency. First is the way you handle raw materials. It's very, very important. In food technology and nutrition, we learn how to handle the raw materials. Raw materials. And then through technology, we process it. Okay? And we supply to the emergency area. But of course, since the situation is not normal, the way you process might not be as normal as in the normal situation. perhaps the equipment is not complete, etc., etc. But one thing that we had to bear in mind is that the quality cannot be. I mean, we cannot just. I mean, we have to consider the quality. This is what I mean. Yeah, in whatever situation, the product that we produce must be of quality. So during the condition of emergency, it is hard for us to prepare food for consumption. So this is what I mentioned just now. And food technologies play this condition. Okay. The major work done by them in this condition are by the development of instant or RTS food. Yeah, instant. This food not only suitable for consumption but also provide required dose of calorie and can be easily transported too. For example, noodles were produced during Second World War to provide daily diet to the soldiers. So that's why product instant noodles is more popular during the emergency. The reason is that number one is it is easily prepared. Once you get just the hot water and then you can boil only few minutes and then you get the food. And then the energy is there. Okay. Second is it is a dried product and then when it's transported it's easier. So meaning that's easy to handle. Yeah. And then how can we produce a food like instant noodle? So any other food that's like instant noodle, yeah, quote unquote like instant noodle. So for example, soup, yeah, but in the instant form. Yeah, you just open and then you put water, hot water, boiled water, and then you get it. So can we produce this kind of food, yeah, various type of food like this, and then we distribute during emergency, yeah. During emergency. So I think this is the challenge. Yeah, this is the challenge because the situation is not normal and then we have to produce this kind of thing. Now, I think now the technology is there. Various type of instant food are available now. Yeah, even rice, there is also more instant. Yeah. And then meat, yeah, already in the can, yeah. Half cooked already, yeah. So it's considered instant or semi-processed, okay. And also many other type of food. So due to the technology, imagine this one during the Second World War. It is where the situation when the technology is still lacking, yeah. So a lot of challenges, yeah. But nowadays I think a lot of food. Some of the food is very. Recently, yeah, I think I learned article in the journal. The food technologists develop the food for astronaut, for example, yeah, you know astronaut, yeah, or those who travel to the space, yeah. Now that one is also typical purposes, yeah. So how you handle this, yeah? Of course, the situation even more complicated compared to disasters. Yeah, the situation in the during the travel, yeah. Okay, and then of course, yeah, this also need to be taken into consideration, even though during the emergency, yeah. Food waste management, yeah. Here, and the issue of biogas generation, landfills, composting, vermicomposting, etc., etc. Okay, and then advantage. Yeah, the thing that we have to consider, yeah, when we develop food for emergency. There are some advantages there. We maintain food supply in whatever situation. Food supply still there, yeah. And then we prevent health hazard, yeah, to help to upgrade indigenous food as I mentioned just now, we develop the food based on the local sources, local resources, local culture or local wisdom, and then awareness among the people about food and food quality. Brothers, sisters here, all the participants, if you look at this, what the scenario currently happening in the world? In the world, there is a term triple burden malnutrition nowadays. Number one, in the country, if you look at this, overweight and obesity mostly happen in the country which is advanced. Advanced in terms of economics, advanced in terms of we call this a first world country, we call this. It's happened here. They are facing the problem of overweight and obesity. While in the third world country, the issue basically is undernutrition. Undernutrition. For example, here is stunting. Or wasting or underweight. So this is the issue in undernutrition. And then in between there is an issue of micronutrient deficiency. And WHO recognized the triple burden malnutrition in the world. Some country, they have all these three. Because no single country that have only one issue here. No, because in one country, one particular country, there is a rich people, there is the poor, and there is a people in the middle. That's why all these situations happen in any country in the world. Perhaps the percentage are different. In US, for example, overweight and obesity is more compared to undernutrition. But in the third world countries, certain countries, we are not mentioning here, maybe undernutrition is more critical there. Stunting issues, underweight issues, lack of protein issues, etc. Okay. Sorry, this is in Indonesian. This is the only slide that I wrote in Indonesia. But I will translate it, so don't worry. So this is the potential of food resources. Sumber pangan means food resources, and keragaman hayati Indonesia is what we call is the biodiversity. Biodiversity. Indonesia is one of the top richest biodiversity in the world. Among the top 7, if I'm not mistaken. You may correct me if I'm wrong. Some other countries like Malaysia or Brazil. So this is a country which rich in biodiversity. So we should utilize our potential. I will tell you one by one. Because our topic today is the local best food. We should utilize this. For Indonesian, for those coming from Indonesia, you should utilize this in the emergency situation. Number one, we have 77 types of carbohydrate. Rich or poor? Rich. So the carbohydrate in Indonesia not only rice. So if you only consume rice every day, it's wrong. You should try other type of carbohydrate. Indonesia, even Indonesia we call umbi-umbian, tubers, etc. Various type of tuber Indonesia. I think when I've been in Semarang since last Sunday, so every day I try different type of carbohydrate. Ada umbi inilah, umbi itu. In Indonesia we call this tubers. It's a different type of carbohydrate. That edible. Some of carbohydrate might not be edible. Might not be edible. Okay, 77. You need to try this while you are in Indonesia. Yeah, at least you try 7 or 10. Yeah, rice. Yeah, where is in Indonesia? We have this type of rice, this kind of rice. Yeah, and the food in Semarang is also a variety. Yeah, the way they prepare the food is quite creative, I think. Yeah, various type of food. Yeah, available. Yeah, in the restaurant, you know, and also in that shops. Okay, we have 26/7. Yeah, kacang-kacangan apa ya? Bahasa Inggrisnya nuts. Ya, yeah, nuts. 26 type of that in Indonesia. Okay, 389 types of fruits. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, so from apple, durian, you know, we have this. If you don't try durian yet, this is a chance for you. Yeah, otherwise you travel to Malaysia, not far from Indonesia. Yeah, there is musangking in Malaysia. Yeah, if you know this, very famous in TikTok. Yeah, musangking. Last week my friend coming from Jakarta just to try musangking in Kuala Lumpur. So I took him to durian stall in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, Indonesia also the same. Yeah, the same. There is a different type durian in Medan, durian in other places. Mashallah. Okay. We have 228 types of vegetable. Okay, 228. So it's very, very rich actually. Yeah? And no reason for us to be poor actually. You can plant it. Yeah, not difficult to plant, to grow the vegetable in Indonesia. Yeah, you have a small piece of land and you grow or you plant it and then you can harvest in a short while. Yeah, okay. 40 types of drinks, sauces. Yeah, drink like coffee, chocolate, etc. Yeah, tea. Yeah, and various type of tea. Yeah, Indonesia. Yesterday I evaluated one thesis. Yeah, and they produced tea from onion from Kalimantan. It's a different type. Man, it's a local wisdom there. Yeah. So you get the benefit of the polyphenol, etc. Okay. We have 110 types of spices in Indonesia. In the past, historically, the people from Europe come to Indonesia just for spices. Yeah. Dutch, yeah, Portuguese, etc. Okay. And then, this is also very, very important. 1,260 medicinal plant. Inshallah, yeah, is very, very huge potential. So, if in the emergency scenario, we have to develop this, this potential. Yeah, in Indonesian cases, Okay, local functional food. I have only 15 minutes. A lot of slides to be. Okay, I think you know what the functional food. Yeah, I highlight functional food. Why? Because number one is from local sources. We know that it's very, very typical resources in Indonesia. Second, functional food, you get extra benefits of the food. Yeah, this is typical advantage of the food. Yeah, additional function. Okay, it's natural, of course. Yeah, like seaweed, for example. Yeah, when I was in Japan, I spent almost 2 years in Japan. The culture in Japan, they're very, very close to seaweed. Yeah, they consume seaweed, etc. But in Indonesia, not. The culture different. So one day I did research on one type of seaweed from a brown one. Yeah, and the brown one contain like anti-diabetic, anti-oxidant, anti-cancer properties, anti-inflammatory, and anti-obesity one. I started the research when I was in Tokyo. You know, in Indonesia, people do not know that yet. You know, when I traveled to Bali and Sulawesi, that type of species of the seaweed just thrown away by the people. Because people do not know the advantage of or health benefit of that sources. But in Japan, it is extracted and then becomes supplement. Yeah, especially as anti-obesity. Yeah, and then this is no wonder why the Japanese obesity rate is quite lower compared to Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. Yeah, in Asia. Yeah, so we have to utilize our natural resources. Okay, so as nutraceuticals also very important, even though we are not thinking about nutraceutical during emergency, but if we can, before emergency, we produce this, so then already in the store, for example, just give this to the affected people during emergency, because they need this. Yeah, they need this, a certain extra energy, for example, or for protection, yeah, extra immunity. Yeah, for example, during the COVID, what supplement that is very, very much looked by people? Of number one is immune booster. Yeah, because people feel that during the COVID they feel very weak, easily affected. So you need to get extra immune system, immunity. Yeah, so if we can produce immune booster during non-emergency situation, so when it is emergency, easily we can supply to the affected people. Yeah, I think I continue. Okay. And then this is just an example, cereal as functional food. Just now Indonesia has a lot of carbohydrate sources. So this is a food, yeah. And the product that you produce depends on your creativity. In Indonesia, there is a term also rice analog, yeah. This is kind of a new development. Yeah, you produce from various carbohydrate, and then you produce rice, yeah, through extrusion process. Looks like rice, but it's not purely rice. Yeah, but it can use to replace rice, because sometimes the price of rice is ups and down in Indonesia. Okay, and then I think. I think wheat. Yeah, we do not have this in Indonesia. Yeah, not much, but it's just local. Perhaps this is a local products from certain country. We know wheat it can use as a cholesterol reducing effect. Yeah, and then legumes as a functional foods, and various type of nuts. Just now in Indonesia, we can use this, and then you develop this as a source of food. Okay, and then so this is why we need this. Yeah, this is some of the health promoting, and then soybeans. Yeah, soybean. We know that the composition of soybean in terms of protein profile is very, very, very good. Yeah, some scientists say that the quality of protein from soybean is comparable to the animal protein. Yeah, that's why product from soybean is actually very, very useful and very healthy. Indonesia, the product from soybean a lot. Yeah. From tempeh, have you tried tempeh here? Or tofu, yeah, tofu, and then from tempeh it produces various type of tempeh as well. So it is from soybean. Unfortunately, Indonesia still import a lot soybean, meaning that soybean production in Indonesia is not doesn't meet what we call, we do not have enough soybean, we still import. Yeah. Okay, and then normally we import from like China, from other countries as well. Okay, we know that. Oh, and then you know what the good things about the soybean, yeah. Okay, and then vegetable as functional food. Yeah, Indonesia just not a lot of vegetable, and then it is very very good in fiber, vitamin, mineral, carotene, pigment, flavonoid. Yeah, I think yesterday also I mentioned about this. But of course, certain vegetables not available here. But there are vegetables that only consume in Indonesia, but not in other places, other countries. Yeah, other country else. Yeah, you know, in Java, Western Java, or in Bandung especially, they consume, study showed that they consume more types of vegetable compared to other region in Indonesia. And according to this, the health status of the people also much better. Yeah. Okay. And then tomatoes. Yeah. This just example because tomatoes contain lycopene a lot. Yeah. Lycopene is very very powerful antioxidant. Yeah. Very powerful antioxidant. Okay. And then it can protect us from disease and to improve our immunity. Okay, I think fruits as functional foods. Yeah, try to consume more types of fruits. Yeah, okay, fruits are nature wonderful gift to mankind. It contain a lot of antioxidant and phytonutrient. Yeah, nutrient that only derive from plant. Okay, fruit contain many antioxidants like polyphenolic flavonoids, vitamin C, and anthocyanin. Yeah, anthocyanin. Okay, for example, here mango. Some of the fruit typically are available only in tropical countries. Yeah, like mango. Okay. A banana, for example, yeah. You try here. The good thing when I stay in Semarang, every day I was served with the fruit, yeah, every day. Yeah? During the meeting, the fruit is there, you know. So it's very good things, yeah. And then probiotics as well. This is a new technology that produce probiotics, yeah. And it can be served, yeah, during the emergency as well, yeah. Even though it is not typically from the local wisdom perhaps, but in some region in Indonesia, fermented milk is also there basically, yeah. But the name perhaps not yogurt or what. Because I'm from West Sumatra. In West Sumatra, there is a milk fermented, yeah, milk from buffalo. Yeah, it's fermented, and study showed it's very very good. I think probiotics properties are there. Yeah, okay. And then also a juice. Yeah, juice. Yeah, many fruits can be processed. Yeah, into the juices. Okay, and then. Finally, this is a conclusion. Number one is during disasters, we contribute to the production of the food, of quality food, whether you are from food technology, nutrition, medical, etc. Yeah, etc. And the food that we produce need to be of quality as well. Yeah, not just simply a food, because the people or the affected people during emergency need a better food than the normal people. Yeah, because the situation, they are weaker, for example, yeah, and more potential microbials around, yeah, that may affect them, yeah, pathogen, etc. So we have to consider this. The situation is also not, because the environment is not so clean during that time. So we have to consider all those things. And then another thing is that try to utilize the potential of the food in that particular region affected by the disasters, and then so that people can be familiar with the food that you develop. I think that's it for that I have for today. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and yes, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
We have 5 minutes left. So, anyone from the participant who want to ask a question to the Professor Irwandi? It is about the development or the utilize the local food for emergency.
I would like to ask.
Your name?
I'm Arven Jan Pasha from University of the Philippines.
Okay.
Since in our country we have an office or like commission in handling and for regulation of usage of traditional and alternative healthcare, which comprises the use of nutraceuticals and herbal medicines. I would like to ask if there is such office or like regulatory body here also in Indonesia.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, yeah, our brother from Philippines. Yeah. Yes. In Indonesia, I think it is regulated, yeah, under Ministry of Health. Yeah. But the specific organization, I'm not sure. Yeah, for the herbals. Yeah, but it is regulated under Ministry of Health. But because I live in Malaysia, in Malaysia there is one, I think, kind of division under Ministry of Health that taking care of this. Yeah, they call it alternative medicines, herbals, and those things. So you are, for example, you are a practitioners of this herbal medicine and alternative one. So you still need to get a license in order for you to practice. Yeah, to practice. So I think in every country, yeah, in Southeast Asia, it is regulated because when we develop something from herbal, you need to prove scientifically as well. Yeah, not just simply because it is consumed by generations, yeah, and then derived to the younger generation without any scientific proof, and then you claim. I see many things happen, yeah. People just claim this and then produce something, but in order for you to claim something, the scientific proof needs to be there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Due to the time constraint, we have to end this session. Thank you for the explanation, Professor Irwandi. So in case in Indonesia, we have a lot of island and we have a lot of ethnic and culture, actually. So we have to utilize our local food in emergency condition because it's difficult to deliver food to the disaster location. Okay, thank you, Professor Irwandi. Please give applause once again for Professor Irwandi. The next agenda are prayer and lunch break, and we will meet again in this classroom at 1 p.m. to attend the third lecture session. So please have a lunch break, and we will meet again at 1 p.m. Thank you.